We've all played a game with somebody that just dominates airwaves with their voice, non-stop yapping about something that has nothing to do with the game. Sometimes they fill the channel with complaints about their partner or parents. This can be quite annoying, not to mention distracting to those of us actually trying to accomplish a goal in a video game as intended. Do you ever wish there was a way to tune them out of your head directly from your own microphone without actually muting them on whatever chat system you're using? Well, this AmpliGame AM6 microphone gives gamers that exact capability. The irony is not lost on me that the AM6 gives me the godlike power of tuning out my teammate's voice through their own microphone from the vicinity of my own microphone. And before we get too deep, I just wanted to say that we are recording this entire video using the microphone, so all the audio you're hearing will be unedited. It's straight from this mic, so you can hear and make the judgment of how it sounds yourself. I also wanted to thank FIFINE for sending us a unit of the AM6 to review, but they're not going to be watching this prior to publication, so you will be the first ones to hear my thoughts on this microphone. So without further ado, let's jump into it. On the surface, the AM6 is another microphone in FIFINE's lineup of products that is vying for the attention of, I would say, entry-level gamers or streamers. It's priced right around the mid-range of the budget USB microphone space, and I do think it looks relatively attractive for what it is. A lot of FIFINE products have streamlined into a similar aesthetic presence, and that's more of the same with the AM6. The capsule case melds into this RGB provided Hive vibe that screams gaming microphone. Since this is a plug-and-play mic, the USB-C port is the connecting source to the computer. It's as easy as plugging it in and off to the games you go. As with some other FIFINE products, the microphone comes with a detachable pop filter that conveniently clips onto the body of the microphone for a seamless look. It's implemented slightly differently, but I had the same praise about the A8 microphone that I reviewed from FIFINE earlier this year. I'm a fan of these included pop filters, and they not only look good, as you can see here in front of the camera, but they also do a good job of dampening the plosives. As for the RGB lighting, this is more of the same from the OEM, as there is a button on the bottom of the microphone that toggles through various colors and modes. It's the standard gradient two-tone color or single colored option with either a static or a breathing pattern. At this point, there really isn't anything special about the RGB implementation that we haven't seen before, but it is still, I would say it looks still pretty cool, and when you mix it in with this RGB-centric desk setup that some people may have, it'll probably fit in. So what makes this microphone unique in the sea of gaming microphones available now? FIFINE calls it a ChatMix Dial, but this is more of a volume adjuster for what you want to hear in your ears. By plugging a headset to connect with the microphone through the 3.5mm jack on the bottom of this device, you can actively control the level of sound pushing to your ears from the game you're playing and also the people you're talking with. Keep in mind, you can do this without the need to open Discord or leave the vicinity of the game you're currently playing. It's all through the microphone. By turning the dial to lean into one side more than the other, you can essentially mute either the game's audio or the other player's dialogue that you're playing with. It's a basic function, but I didn't realize just how beneficial it was until I put this to the test. Imagine a scenario where your teammate is just going on and on about her day in chat while you are trying to solve a mission for your team. Sure, there are ways to mute specific people in your Discord channel, but why go through the extra step when you're just trying to focus on the game? You're trying to listen to footsteps, the sound of fire, or any audio cue that will give you a clue on how to get the upper hand and win. But all you hear is that one person's voice covering up all of the other audio. Now, you turn this dial left towards the game symbology, and like magic, the nagging voice complaining about her partner magically dissipates into the calming fields of bullet fire and NPC screams, just as the developers intended the gameplay experience to be. Of course, that is a bit of a dramatization of the situation, as most of the time, the dial will likely lean somewhere towards the middle, if not slightly actually more towards the chat side. Of all of the gaming accessory gimmicks in products I've reviewed over the years, this is probably one of the most useful and beneficial functions that just makes sense to me. I think just this single feature is enough to justify a look at this microphone. My only little complaint about this dial is that it's front and center and takes up the entirety of the real estate facing the user. The gain and the headphone audio levels have their knobs on the side of the casing. For something so prominent featured, it's essentially useless if you don't have a headset physically plugged into the aux port. Remember, the ChatMix Dial will only function if what you're hearing is directly plugged in and controlled through the microphone. It won't work if you're jacked in through the PC or external speakers or something like that. Some people don't like being chained to a microphone. I personally didn't mind being tethered to the AM6, but I realized this aspect while trying to record B-roll audio to showcase this function. I couldn't. ChatMix becomes basically useless without the aux port. There's also a button that initializes a denoise mode, which isolates your voice from ambient noises like a typing keyboard on your desk. My setup is relatively isolated and quiet, as I also use it for filming purposes, so I didn't truly notice much of a difference with this mode on or off. My teammates on the other side of the microphone also didn't really make any comments while I was toggling it during our talk, so I'd say the effects of this noise cancellation were minimal in my studio setup. While nothing to do with any of this, though, the AM6 can mute without the need of a physical button on the microphone by simply tapping the top like this. And now the microphone should be muted and I should not be hearing anything. As a unidirectional condenser mic, the AM6 does a relatively good job of keeping the focus on the speaker's voice without the denoise mode tinkering with it artificially. The signal to noise ratio is 75 dB. At the end of the day, the audio from the AM6 is clean and crisp enough for really most of the users out there looking at this. Whether that's simple Friday night gaming sessions with the dorm mates or streaming to viewers as a side hobby, I don't think the AM6 will fail you in those endeavors. I did seem to find my mouth inching a little closer towards the microphone during recording, like I'm doing right now, to reach higher, quality levels, even with my normal gain settings. But having this easy form factor to work with on a boom arm just does make it simpler to tinker with if I need it to. I seem to say this quite often when reviewing FIFINE products, but I rarely find myself disappointed with any offering they have. They won't blow your socks off with any killer feature or special quality behind the product, but consistency and value are their key demographic. I think the AM6 still offers fine value that a majority of consumers looking at its way will find the quality which it will provide to be sufficient for their usage. I don't know if I'd say this is their cleanest microphone in their lineup, but it might very well be the most refined USB microphone they are currently making. Once again, I'm Alex from Subnautics. Let me know what you guys think of this ChatMix feature and who you would use this on. I know you're thinking of somebody, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, how do I
I
switch the
think
ladder?
ladder is locked.
Oh, you're right. Ladder is locked. Maybe we just have to get shocked.
No.